Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. It's Thursday, June 26th. The southbound lanes of the new Harbor Bridge are scheduled to open Saturday after a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Texas Department of Public Safety officials said the bridge's southbound lanes into Corpus Christi will open to the public after the ceremony. The northbound lanes aren't expected to open until shortly after early next month, TxDOT officials stated in a news release. A project nearly a decade in the making to help marine life in South Padre Island is now moving forward. On Wednesday, the Texas General Land Office met with a contractor to set a timeline for a project to dismantle the original Queen Isabella Causeway and turn it into an artificial reef north of the jetties. The original causeway opened in 1952 as a low-lying bridge that connected South Padre Island and Port Isabel. Its remains lie south of the current Queen Isabella Memorial Causeway. It has been closed to pedestrians and cars for the last 50 years. Crews plan to start as early as the first week of July. The City of Wharton notified residents Wednesday that one of its water wells tested positive for E. coli. According to a text message sent by the city, the affected well was immediately shut down and is currently undergoing superchlorination. Once the disinfection process is finished, samples will be sent to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for testing. The well cannot be returned to service until it receives approval from the commission. The city clarified that the positive E. coli result came from a raw water sample taken before disinfection, and the water was never distributed to the public. A separate sample taken after disinfection showed no trace of E. coli. The city expects the well to return to service in the coming weeks. In state news, Houston State Senator Joan Huffman's entry into the Republican primary makes it more likely the 2026 race for Texas Attorney General will go to a runoff. Houston Public Media's Andrew Schneider says Huffman is the second GOP senator from Greater Houston to join the race.
Huffman is facing off against Galveston State Senator Mays Middleton, as well as former U.S. Assistant Attorney General Aaron Reitz.
I think the way to look at this is this race will not be won on Election Day.
That's political consultant Bill Miller.
It's going to be a runoff race. The question is, who's in the runoff? Against whom?
If no candidate gets more than 50% of the vote in the March primary, the top two vote-getters will face off in a second round. Huffman enters the race with the most experience as an attorney and jurist, plus a strong connection to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Reitz has strong ties to current Attorney General Ken Paxton, while Middleton has a large personal fortune he said he's willing to devote to his election. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
Last Sunday night, Governor Greg Abbott ensured the Texas lottery will continue for another 4 years, signing into law new provisions to clamp down on the state's games after lawmakers weighed abolishing the lottery entirely. Criticism of the lottery and the Texas Lottery Commission largely stemmed from two controversies: a $95 million Lotto Texas win claimed by a single group that purchased 99% of the 25.8 million possible ticket combinations, and the proliferation of online ticket sales through apps known as lottery couriers. The bill, which took effect immediately, allows the lottery to continue until 2029, but with greater restrictions and without the Texas Lottery Commission, the agency that has run the game for 3 decades. The bill prohibits online ticket sales and abolishes the commission. Starting September 1st, the lottery will be run by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. A TDLR spokesperson said it was premature to discuss the specific structure of their lottery oversight, but that they have organized a 3-person transition team and are assembling working groups with both TDLR and Lottery Commission staff. Of 545 available oyster licenses, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department received 115 commercial oyster boat license offers in round 9 of its oyster license buyback program. If all applicants participate, it would represent a reduction by 21% of total oyster licenses in the state. TPWD received authority for an oyster license buyback from Texas legislature in 2017 and held the first buyback for oyster licenses in 2018. Funds generated from a surcharge on these commercial licenses go to purchase and retire commercial crab, finfish, bait, and bay shrimp and oyster licenses, which helps to ensure sustainable and stable populations over the long term. The department intends to purchase all 115 licenses with the help of significant donations from key donors. TPWD will be notifying all commercial oyster boat license applicants that they can now begin the next steps to complete the transaction. The city of Fort Worth has agreed to pay $250,000 to the family of an uninvolved driver killed during a 2023 police chase. KERA's Penelope Rivera reports an officer crashed into Andre Craig's car while chasing a stolen vehicle.
Witnesses said Craig had the green light when an officer crashed into his car during the pursuit. Craig's father sued the city last year, alleging negligence and wrongful death in connection with the crash. Craig's death prompted questions from the public about the Fort Worth Police Department's pursuit policy and whether the officer who crashed into Craig followed the department's pursuit guidelines. A Tarrant County jury earlier this year declined to bring criminal charges against the officer. The city council unanimously approved the settlement, and city officials continue to deny any liability. I'm Penelope Rivera in Fort Worth.
Collin County Sheriff Jim Skinner had planned to go to Israel for counterterrorism training, but deadly strikes between Israel and Iran put the trip on halt. KERA's Caroline Love reports that questions remain about the controversial training, which is similar to what Israel has offered to other law enforcement agencies across the nation.
The Collin County Sheriff's Office doesn't know if the trip will be rescheduled after it was canceled, or at this point if it will even happen. Many U.S. law enforcement agencies have trained in Israel since the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The practice has long been a source of controversy. Amnesty International and advocacy groups have accused Israeli police of human rights violations, including unlawful surveillance and excessive force against peaceful protesters. Mustafa Carroll from the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations says the sheriff shouldn't have accepted the invitation to train in Israel in the first place.
Why would you go and train with a country or train with a military that has known human rights abuses? We have enough issues with that right here without that training.
Jewish Voice for Peace released a report in 2018 called The Deadly Exchange that claims American and Israeli law enforcement swap militarized tactics and racial profiling techniques at these trainings. The Anti-Defamation League, a civil rights organization created to combat anti-Semitism, says those accusations are false. The group has sponsored several law enforcement trips to Israel. The ADL declined to comment for this story. The Collin County Sheriff's Office was one of 3 law enforcement agencies involved in the arrests of 20 protesters at a student-led encampment for Palestinians at the University of Texas at Dallas. Carroll says the sheriff treated protesters unfairly.
I think that they are viewing these protesters as if they are combatants.
The Collin County Sheriff's Office says the planned training in Israel wasn't related to any local developments or issues. Jonathan Thompson from the National Sheriff's Offices Association says critics of the training offered in Israel are misguided. Thompson says American law enforcement agencies adapt what they learn to fit the U.S. Constitution. Thompson participated in a training program in Israel shortly after the October 7th attacks. He says Israel has experience combating and responding to terrorism.
It's a little bit like the old adage, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Why do you train with Israel or Germany? That's where the experience is.
Skinner told county commissioners training with the Israeli National Police would benefit public safety.
They're probably the best in the world at it. And we're going to benefit from that and take those lessons home and apply that here to help make our citizens more safe.
Thompson says law enforcement agencies have a duty to be transparent with the people they serve. Otherwise, misconceptions like the public's perception of Israel's counterterrorism training can occur.
If you're not willing to talk about your tactics and techniques, then you're going to find yourselves with a very large population that is uninformed, scared, and naive in their own understanding of what's going on.
Skinner had provided an exact agenda for the trip to commissioners that was not made public. KERA has requested a copy through an open records request. One of Skinner's major campaign contributors, who serves as the unpaid assistant chief over the department's reserve duty program, volunteered to foot the $70,000 to $80,000 bill. That was after the county had declined to fund the visit. At a recent Commissioners Court meeting, Commissioner Susan Fletcher questioned if it was safe to go to Israel.
There's a reason we have policies, and there's a reason that we say no to these international trips, especially to a war zone.
Israel attacked military targets in Iran days before Skinner and 5 deputies were scheduled to leave, and tension between the countries continue. For KERA News, I'm Caroline Love in Dallas.
A new exhibition at Dallas Contemporary turns custom grills into contemporary art. KERA's Zara Amechi reports.
Anti-Classic features work by Dallas-born, New York-based artist Masahiro Lamarche. His jeweled mouthpiece are made from a range of materials, including diamonds, brass, bronze, and rubies. To LaMarche, grills are more than just jewelry. They're symbols of identity, crafted with precision and intention.
It's such a beautiful, powerful, aggressive way to ensure that subcultures are respected in the same way.
Over the years, he's created custom grills for artists including Zach Shakito Sagana, Michelle Lamy, and Erykah Badu. Anti-Clastic is on view through August. I'm Zara Mechi in Dallas.
And in sports, Texas A&M Corpus Christi has named Mark Montgomery as the next head softball coach. Montgomery becomes the 9th leader in Islanders softball history and brings 23 years of collegiate head coaching experience to the island, including 20 spent at the Division I level. He has collected 858 total wins in his career, with over 650 of those at the college level, and has made 4 NCAA tournament appearances. He most recently served as the head softball coach at the University of Maryland from 2020 to 23. Montgomery will assume his role immediately. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.